Priya had always been everything I wasn't. At 28, she was the golden child who'd followed every rule, met every expectation and exceeded every goal our immigrant parents had set. MBA from Wharton, consultant at McKinsey, married to another consultant named David who looked like he'd stepped out of a LinkedIn advertisement. Me. I was the family disappointment. 26 years old, college dropout, no corporate job, no marriage prospects that met my parents' standards. I'd left Stanford after 2 years to pursue what Mom called this computer nonsense, and Dad referred to as Asha's phase. What they knew about my life could fit in a tweet. I worked from home doing something with websites, lived in a small apartment in Oakland, drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic that had seen better days. What they didn't know was that their disappointment had built something they couldn't even comprehend. Started junior year at Stanford. I was studying computer science, but the coursework felt slow, outdated. While my classmates learned theory, I was already building real applications, solving actual problems for small businesses that couldn't afford enterprise solutions. I started freelancing. Simple websites at first, then more complex e-commerce platforms. Word spread quietly through Silicon Valley's underground network of startups and entrepreneurs who needed technical expertise but couldn't pay developer salaries. By the time I left Stanford, I was making more than most graduates. By 24, I'd built a specialized consulting firm focusing on AI-powered customer service platforms. By 25, I'd sold that company to a tech giant for an amount that made my lawyer do a double take. The money sat quietly in investment accounts while I built the next thing. And the next. 3 successful exits in 4 years, each one bigger than the last. My current net worth hovered around $12 million. But I lived simply. Modest apartment, reliable car, comfortable clothes. I'd grown up watching money stress tear families apart, and I preferred staying under the radar. Let people think what they wanted. I knew what I'd built. The family knew none of this. They saw the Honda, the Oakland address, the lack of corporate job, and wrote their own story. The disappointing daughter who'd thrown away her education for computer games. Priya and David had just bought a house in Palo Alto. $2 million according to the Zillow listing I'd accidentally found. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, perfect for the corporate power couple lifestyle they'd constructed. The housewarming party was scheduled for Saturday afternoon. Casual but elegant, the invitation had specified. Light refreshments, house tours, celebration of our new chapter. I debated not going. These family events were exercises in subtle humiliation, watching Priya receive praise for achievements that looked impressive to people who didn't understand what real success meant in Silicon Valley. But Mom had called 3 times, using guilt with surgical precision. It's important for families to support each other, she'd said. Priya has worked so hard for this moment. So I'd driven over in my Honda, parking behind a line of BMWs, Autis and Tesla Model S. The kind of cars that signaled you'd made it in tech, even if you were just another cog in someone else's machine. The house was beautiful. Professional staging, perfect landscaping, the kind of place that photographed well for social media. Priya had hired actual caterers, actual florists, actual event staff to make sure everything looked effortless. 40 guests mingled in the living room. Colleagues from McKinsey, neighbors, family, friends, our parents looking proud as peacocks. Everyone dressed in that specific Silicon Valley casual that cost more than most people's rent. I arrived in jeans and a simple sweater, feeling underdressed but not caring. Found Mom and Dad near the kitchen, accepted their slightly disappointed hugs. Asha beta, Mom said, you should have worn something nicer. This is an important event. I'm here to support Priya, I said. That's what matters. Dad nodded toward my car visible through the window. You parked behind the Porsche. Maybe move the Honda so it's not blocking the nice cars. Not blocking the nice cars. As if my presence was somehow diminishing the aesthetic. Priya appeared, radiant in a cream-colored dress that probably cost more than my rent. Asha, you made it. Her hug was genuine, but I caught her glance toward the window where my Honda sat among the luxury vehicles like a sore thumb. Great house, I said. Congratulations. Thank you. David and I are so excited. Come, let me give you the tour. The house tour was a masterclass in subtle superiority. Priya led groups through each room, explaining the renovation choices, the designer furniture, the smart home technology that probably cost more than most people made in a year. The kitchen is my favorite, she announced to a group of colleagues. Italian marble countertops, Wolf appliances, custom cabinetry. David jokes that it's nicer than most restaurants. Appreciative murmurs from the audience. Someone asked about the mortgage. Priya laughed. Let's just say the McKinsey salary has its perks. I followed quietly, listening to conversations about property values, school districts, investment portfolios. The kind of talk that made people feel sophisticated while revealing how conventional their thinking really was. Then we reached the master bedroom and Priya's attention turned to me. Asha, you've been so quiet, she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. What do you think of the house? It's beautiful, I said honestly. You should be proud. We are. It's amazing what you can accomplish with focus and hard work. Her smile was warm, but the subtext was clear. Focus and hard work that you never applied. One of her colleagues, a woman in an expensive blazer, turned to me. What do you do, Asha? I work in tech, I said simply. Oh, wonderful. Which company? I'm independent. Consulting. The temperature in the room dropped slightly. Independent consulting in Silicon Valley could mean anything from brilliant entrepreneur to unemployed code monkey picking up freelance scraps. Priya jumped in helpfully. Asha builds websites and things. She's very creative. Builds websites and things. Like I was a digital arts and crafts enthusiast. That's nice, the woman said politely. The gig economy offers such flexibility. The gig economy. I owned companies. I had employees. My last acquisition had been featured in TechCrunch. But to them I was a freelancer building WordPress sites for local bakeries. We moved to the backyard where David was holding court about their future plans. European honeymoon, potential second home in Tahoe, maybe starting a family in a few years. The beauty of corporate success, he said, is the stability. Predictable income, career advancement, long-term planning. Not everyone has that luxury. His eyes found mine across the patio. The unspoken comparison was obvious. Mom appeared at my elbow. You should ask David about opportunities at his firm, she whispered. Maybe they need someone with computer skills. Computer skills. Like I was qualified to fix their printers. The afternoon continued in this pattern. Polite questions about my consulting work. Subtle suggestions about stability and proper careers. Gentle mockery disguised as concern. Then it was time to leave. As guests began departing, I made my way toward the street where I'd parked the Honda. The valet service Priya had hired was retrieving cars for the guests too important to walk 50 feet. Priya followed me outside along with several of her colleagues who were also leaving. Thanks for coming, Asha, she said. It means a lot to have family here. I unlocked the Honda, its 10-year-old door handle creaking slightly. Behind me, I heard the soft purr of a BMW engine as the valet delivered someone's car. Uber driver now? Priya asked, loud enough for her departing colleagues to hear. I saw you getting into that Honda earlier. Thought maybe you'd started driving for extra income. Her friends chuckled politely. The kind of laugh that said they understood the joke and appreciated being included in the family dynamic. It's my car, I said calmly. Right, of course. I just meant, it's very practical. Very economical. Smart choice for someone starting out. At 26. After she'd known me my entire life. I was about to get in the car when I heard rapid footsteps behind me. Miss Patel. Miss Patel. I turned to see one of the valets rushing over, his face lit with recognition and excitement. Miss Patel, I didn't recognize you without the Ferrari. How are you? It's been months since I've seen you at the club. The words hit the group like a physical force. Priya's smile froze. Her colleagues stopped mid-conversation. Hi, Marcus, I said calmly. Good to see you. Are you slumming it today? He asked with a grin. The Honda's a nice change of pace, but I have to say I miss parking that red Ferrari. That car was a work of art. The silence behind me was deafening. Marcus continued, oblivious to the tension. How's the new Lamborghini treating you? The guys at the country club are still talking about it. Mr. Davidson said you let him take it for a spin last month. It's fine, I said quietly. And the business? I heard you just bought another company. My cousin works in tech, says you're becoming quite the mogul. I could feel Priya's stare burning into my back. Just keeping busy, I said. Marcus laughed. Modest as always. Well, I should get back to work. Give my regards to your driver when you bring the good cars around again. He jogged back toward the house, leaving behind a silence so complete I could hear someone's watch ticking. I turned around slowly. Priya was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. Her colleagues looked equally confused. Asha, Priya said carefully, what was he talking about? Marcus works valet at the Woodside Country Club, I said. I see him sometimes. The country club? You're a member at Woodside. Woodside was old money. Tech royalty. The kind of place where membership required either generational wealth or the kind of success that made headlines. Yes. Since when? About 3 years. One of her colleagues, the woman in the expensive blazer, stepped forward. I'm sorry, but did he say Ferrari? And Lamborghini? I have a few cars, I said simply. A few cars, Priya repeated faintly. The Hondas for everyday driving. Better for parking in Oakland. But the Ferrari is for weekends. The group was processing this information like a computer trying to run software it didn't have. Priya's little sister, the college dropout, the family disappointment, apparently owned supercars and belonged to one of the most exclusive country clubs in Silicon Valley. Asha, Priya said slowly, I need to understand what's happening here. What's happening is that you've spent the afternoon making assumptions about my life based on a car and an address. But you said you do consulting. Websites. I said I work in tech. You decided that meant websites. The colleague stepped forward again. What kind of work do you actually do? I build companies, develop AI platforms, sell them when they reach scale. Sell them, Priya whispered. 3 exits in 4 years. Each one bigger than the last. Exits, the colleague said. As in successful acquisitions? Yes. For how much? I looked at Priya, then at her friends, then back at my sister. The last one was 12 million. The number hung in the air like smoke. Someone's phone buzzed. A car honked somewhere down the street. 12 million, Priya repeated. Dollars. You sold a company for $12 million. That was just the last one. Her face went through several color changes. How much, total? I don't usually discuss finances at housewarming parties. Asha, please. How much total? I sighed. Around 30 million. Give or take. What followed was chaos. Controlled, polite chaos, but chaos nonetheless. Priya's colleagues swarmed me with questions. What companies had I built? Were they hiring? Did I take investors? Could they get my card? Priya stood frozen, clutching her purse like it was the only solid thing in a shifting universe. 30 million, she said to herself. $30 million. It's not about the money, I said. Not about the money? Her voice pitched higher. Asha, you're worth more than our house. More than David and I make combined. In like 5 years. More than you'll make in 15 years, one of her colleagues corrected helpfully. Assuming standard McKinsey progression. Priya shot him a look that could melt steel. Why didn't you tell us? She asked. Tell you what? That you're successful. Rich. Whatever this is. Would it have changed anything about today? The question stopped her cold. Because we both knew the answer. If she'd known I was worth $30 million, she never would have made the Uber driver comment. Never would have suggested I ask David about entry-level positions. Never would have treated me like the family failure in front of her colleagues. But she would have treated me differently only because of money, not because I deserved basic respect as her sister. I need to process this, she said. Take your time. I got in the Honda, started the engine that had been running perfectly for 10 years, and drove away from my sister's perfect house with her perfect life that suddenly felt very small. Priya and I have coffee now. Once a month, neutral location, careful conversations about everything except money. She asks about my work sometimes, but differently now. With respect instead of condescension. Mom and Dad know the truth now. Their disappointment has transformed into bewildered pride mixed with guilt over years of subtle criticism. They brag to their friends about their tech entrepreneur daughter, conveniently forgetting decades of suggesting I get a real job. The family dynamics have shifted permanently. I'm no longer the cautionary tale about wasted potential. Instead, I'm the mysterious success story they don't quite understand but can't argue with. I still drive the Honda most days. Still live in my Oakland apartment. Still prefer substance over show. Money is a tool, not an identity, and I learned early that flashy displays often mask empty achievements. But respect? that should never require a valet's recognition to earn. Priya's colleagues treat me differently now when we meet at family events. Warmer, more interested, quick to share their own startup ideas. It's the problem in microcosm. Respect based on perceived net worth rather than inherent value. The people who knew my worth before they knew my wealth. My team, my real friends, the entrepreneurs I mentor. They're still the same. Because genuine relationships aren't built on bank statements. Priya called last week about Thanksgiving plans. No mention of career advice or suggestions about stability. No comments about my car or apartment. Progress, I suppose. Some lessons take time to stick, but they do stick eventually. Even for perfect sisters with perfect houses and imperfect assumptions about what success really looks like.